Any resistance?
Oh, that's all it was. It was only resistance until somebody cool did it. Who did that? Who made it cool? Snoop. Snoop did it. Then it was totally fine. Everybody was like, okay, I guess we can listen to it.
Isn't that funny, man? How like you look at something back and like today, no one would believe that you went through resistance.
Yeah.
But at the time, I remember that it was nuts.
It's incredible. It's incredible. I just went through it again. I did a hook in 2014. Erica Banks picked up the hook in 2020, it had to be, or 2019 or 2020. She put the song out, Erica Banks, T-Pain. Not really anybody paid attention to it. Glorilla just found the same hook.
The one that I'm hearing right now?
The one that you're hearing right now. She just found it this year, and it's a smash. Same hook, same beat, nothing different, just Glorilla instead of Erica Banks.
Yeah.
One's more popular.
We're big Glorilla fans.
So it's incredible.
Once seen as the guy who ruined music, T-Pain went from being hated by almost every artist in the game to going broke, and somehow he still came out on top. He's been through chaos, mockery, and a brutal industry that tried to bury him, but today, he's proof that survival in music takes more than talent. It takes heart and honesty. Even with all his success now, T-Pain isn't shy about pulling back the curtain on the ugly truth behind the recording business. He openly exposes how much of it is smoke and mirrors, designed to trick the public into believing in an illusion of fame and fortune that barely exists. This is how T-Pain, the boy from Florida known as Itzy or Boy Luis back in the day, first broke into the game. He came up with the Florida crew Nappy Heads, where he started experimenting with beats and production when he was just 10 years old. But soon he realized that the local rap scene in Tallahassee was overflowing with MCs, all chasing the same dream. That's when he made a bold decision. Instead of being just another rapper, he wanted to sing. And everything changed the day he discovered one studio tool that would turn him into a legend: auto-tune. When T-Pain dropped his debut single, I'm Sprung, the robotic, futuristic sound of his vocals flipped the entire hip-hop and R&B world upside down. People couldn't believe their ears. Yet, many assumed he used it to hide weak vocals, when in reality, he used it like a creative weapon, a unique instrument that amplified his true voice and reshaped the sound of a whole generation. T-Pain always treated auto-tune like a stylistic weapon, not a crutch, and years later he proved it to the world when he blew everyone's minds by revealing his raw, powerful vocals on The Masked Singer. But way before that jaw-dropping moment, T-Pain had already become the face of a sound that divided the entire music world. Some fans worshipped it, others trashed it, but nobody could ignore it. What he didn't realize back then was that his rise would expose how fake and fickle both record labels and audiences could be. The second his style went viral, the same people who mocked him suddenly wanted in on the action. Everyone, from rappers to producers, wanted a piece of that T-Pain sound, even though he was the one who made it cool in the first place. When his debut album Rappa Turned Sanga dropped, a lot of people didn't take him seriously. They brushed it off as some kind of joke, just a gimmick, the way people today might look at meme-style rap from artists like 645 AR. But while everyone was busy doubting him, T-Pain was quietly rewriting the rules of modern music. Still, in those early days, he needed someone big to co-sign his sound, someone to make the world see that it wasn't just a passing trend. And funny enough, the rapper who helped make T-Pain's style acceptable wasn't who anyone expected. Looking back, Pain admits it stung that another artist had to validate what he'd already perfected, and that feeling of others taking his ideas just to make them cool has followed him throughout his entire career. Sure enough, after Sensual Seduction dropped, the auto-tune wave exploded across the music scene. Everybody wanted that robotic shimmer in their songs. Suddenly, artists who once clowned T-Pain were now knocking on his door begging for studio time and advice. But if T-Pain thought this was finally his moment to be embraced and respected, he was about to get a harsh reality check. That rush of attention turned out to be the start of a long, uphill fight that would define much of his career. Even though his first 3 albums were groundbreaking, the industry still treated him like an outsider. Then came Kanye West, who became obsessed with the auto-tune sound and decided to link up with the man who mastered it.
There was many times when I was working on 808s and Heartbreaks with him, he came up with this song for me, and it wasn't a good song. It was basically describing how whack my ideas was that I was coming up with, and he made everybody in the studio join in with him to sing the song like T-Pain shit is weak. Like it was real, like it was actually pretty lyrical. I actually thought he should have put that on the record at some point. But you know, it would have been a diss record, so I thought that was pretty fucked up. But I mean, it was fun until that song started happening.
T-Pain even told MTV on the set of Sierra's Go Girl video, "I co-signed his whole album. I just flew in last night from Hawaii working with T-Pain. His whole album is crazy and definitely a different kind of Kanye. As far as Love Lockdown goes, he did that whole thing himself. He just had me in mind. 808s and Heartbreak is really all Kanye. I'm just here to keep it from sounding adult contemporary." But here's the wild part. Even while Kanye was asking for his help, he wasn't giving him the respect he deserved. According to Pain, Ye started throwing shade right in the middle of the creative process. Imagine that. The same man who came to him for guidance was taking shots at him in the studio? That moment would stick with T-Pain for years, reminding him that even when you change the game, respect doesn't always come easy. Not long after that, 808s and Heartbreak completely flipped the music world on its head. Autotune had gone from an underground experiment to a full-blown global sound, blasting through radios and charts like never before. As the world caught the wave, everyone wanted a piece of T-Pain's magic touch. The calls started flooding in. Every artist wanted a T-Pain feature, but with all that attention came a heavy price. In an interview with The Fader, T-Pain opened up about the double-edged sword of doing features. Sure, collabs can boost your visibility, but they also force you to bend and twist your own style just to fit someone else's vibe. As he put it, "When I get on a song with somebody else, it's not the T-Pain you would hear by myself." That hit deep, because to him, every feature meant sacrificing a bit of his own artistic identity just to make someone else's track shine.
So then Buy You a Drink obviously took you to another atmosphere.
Yeah.
Now, what was the story behind that?
Man, I actually didn't want to
It's
do
a trick,
like,
nigga. Buying a bunch of drinks for people.
You said you didn't want to do
I
it?
didn't want to do that song at all. It was the one song I like needed on my album. Snap music was popular at the time.
Yeah.
And my A&R was like, dude, you gotta do at least one Snap song. I was like, I'll do it, but I'm gonna do my version of it. And that was like the last song I recorded for the album. And that's what made them like, okay, we can put this out now. And I did not want to do that fucking song.
Well, why did you stop?
I had to.
Why?
Because it was taking over everything. Just my career was just my life.
Yeah.
Like, you know, I wanted to, like, you know, my kids made two different people. Like, when they saw me on TV, they would call that person Other Daddy.
Oh.
Yeah, and when I would get home, like, you know, they wouldn't run to me and shit like that. It's like, I've been on the road for fucking 2 months. Like, you ain't seen me. And it's like, we saw you. You've been on the TV. We saw you.
But beyond that, he didn't acquire the money he should have because he didn't always charge for features, only to find out that his kindness wouldn't always be returned.
A lot of people don't know, most of those features I did back in 2008 and 9 and 10, I did all of them for free. And,
No.
Yeah.
No.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I did all of them for free, and all I wanted you to do was get back on my shit. That's it. I just wanted to even swap because I was going to charge you just as much as you charged me. So I did a lot of stuff for free, and then, you know, nothing was reciprocated. You know what I'm saying? But even if I got somebody to even try to be on the song, they would come back and charge. And I'm like, well, remember the...
He explained that features aren't just about recycling the same old formula. They're about adapting, molding yourself into another artist's creative world, even when it doesn't match your natural flow. That constant adjustment takes skill and patience. T-Pain pointed out that's exactly why so many artists struggle with features. Once you get stuck in one sound or boxed into one style, it kills your flexibility. He said that artists who refuse to evolve or adjust eventually see their chances dry up. Nobody wants to work with someone who can't blend. What made T-Pain different was his range. He could step into any studio, match another artist's energy, and still make the record better. He felt like the ability that I have to match an artist and really complement the artist is a big part in me doing features, he explained. That adaptability didn't just make him successful, it made him one of the most in-demand collaborators in the entire music industry.
Nobody runs out of money, apparently, so the fuck do I need to check in for? It's just gonna keep going up and up.
Okay.
Fucking crazy.
So the peak for you would have been 2007 when you were on 3 like bona fide #1 hits.
Absolutely.
One
for
of
sure.
which is a diamond platinum.
Yes.
10 million sales.
Absolutely.
That's the Flo Rida Low song. And so you're on top of the world.
On top of the world.
And it's never gonna stop.
Yeah, like why the fuck would I check it?
Right.
Yeah.
If you're not checking rude to check, you know,
rude.
he's not waking up, looking at his B of A with his coffee in the morning, like.
During T-Pain's first major run, the demand for him was insane. His phone barely stopped buzzing, and one of the most persistent names lighting up his screen was none other than DJ Khaled. Payne remembered how Khaled would hit him up late at night, sending over fresh beats and demanding instant results. Sometimes he'd ask for vocals to be recorded and sent back that same night, just so the song could drop the next day. That's how intense the grind was. And you know what they say, you make hay while the sun's shining. When T-Pain was at the top of his game, he refused to slow down. He jumped on every opportunity, collaborating with everyone from his label boss Akon to Chris Brown, Jamie Foxx, Plies, Flo Rida, Lil Wayne, The Lonely Island, and countless others. It felt like every chart-topping record had T-Pain's touch somewhere in it. But that non-stop demand came with a dark side. While the features brought fame, they also started eating away at his personal life. The late nights, the constant pressure, the never-ending requests. And even worse, all that hard work didn't bring in the money he truly deserved. T-Pain later admitted that he didn't always charge for his features, doing favors just to keep relationships solid. But that generosity backfired, because when it was his turn to ask for support, the same people he'd helped was suddenly nowhere to be found. It was a tough lesson. Fame brings attention, but not always loyalty. Even though getting taken advantage of financially was already a tough hit, that was just one part of T-Pain's growing storm. His auto-tuned voice was blasting from every club, radio, and playlist. He was everywhere. But with that level of exposure came the risk of burning out audiences who might eventually say, "All right, we've heard enough." Still, T-Pain kept riding the wave, confident that the good times would last. Every morning felt like a victory lap, coffee in hand, success on his mind. But behind the scenes, trouble was quietly brewing. What really triggered T-Pain's fall from grace wasn't fans getting tired of his sound. It was the industry itself turning against him. Other artists started pushing back, mocking and discrediting him in ways that tore down his confidence piece by piece. It wasn't just competition anymore, it was personal. The constant criticism and industry politics started dragging him into a dark mental space, one where the pressure of fame began to eat away at who he was. And when your life becomes public property, things can turn dangerous fast. Suddenly, every part of T-Pain's world, his name, address, phone number, even details about his family was floating around online. That kind of exposure turns your life into open season for scammers, stalkers, and fake accounts pretending to be you. And while all this chaos was happening, T-Pain was trying to hold it together.
When I first heard the song, I didn't even pay attention to him saying that. I didn't even know he said my name in the song. I was just so shocked, like, what the fuck, man? But you know, once I sat down to listen to it, I was like, oh, he's talking about rappers. Okay, I get that.
Fighting battles most fans never even saw. The fame that once lifted him up was now pulling him deeper into a spiral that almost broke him completely. In 2009, when Jay-Z hit the stage at Summer Jam, T-Pain was hyped. He even told Hive himself how excited he was to catch the performance and made his way backstage to watch the show up close. He had no clue that what was about to happen on that Hot 97 stage would end up cutting deep, way deeper than he could have imagined. That same stage where Jay once launched lyrical wars against Nas and Mobb Deep during Takeover was about to host another cultural moment, but this time the target was T-Pain himself. Jay-Z dropped a bombshell with his track DOA, Death of Auto-Tune, taking direct shots at the robotic vocal trend that T-Pain had pioneered. In the song, Jay even name-dropped T-Pain while calling out artists for T-Paining too much, basically declaring the whole auto-tune movement dead on arrival. Whether Jay meant it as a personal diss or just a statement about the music scene didn't matter. The damage was done. Overnight, the world started looking at T-Pain differently. What had once been his creative crown suddenly became a mark of shame. Looking back, T-Pain admits that moment crushed him. It felt like one of the lowest points in his entire career, with one of the biggest names in rap publicly declaring that everything he built was no longer cool. Ironically, Jay-Z's DOA track ended up pushing T-Pain towards a decision he was already leaning into.
Did it affect you in any way? Did you see any slowdown at that
It
point?
affected the shit out of me.
Yeah.
Yeah. But nah, I mean, and the crazy thing was I was on so much music at that point, we was already planning on fucking like stopping. I was gonna disappear for a while. So it was already in place for me to do that. But at the same time, when that song happened, it happened like 2 months before we were planning to do it. And it just seemed like I disappeared because of the song.
Stepping back before his own sound became a curse flooding the airwaves. That song didn't just shake up the charts, it made Pain stop and think about his place in the game. about how fast fame can twist into backlash when trends start shifting. At that time, hip-hop was in the middle of a huge cultural clash, the old guard versus a new generation that was rewriting what it meant to rap or sing. Auto-tune wasn't just a tool, it was a statement, a rebellion against the traditional rules. And while T-Pain didn't exactly love Jay's public attack, deep down he understood the message. It was about protecting the craft, even if it came at his expense. But still, the constant criticism, the whispers, and the backstabbing within the industry started wearing him down. It's one thing to take shots from legends like Jay-Z, but when the hate starts coming from your peers, people you respect, it cuts way deeper. That breaking point came during an infamous flight where T-Pain ran into Usher. After asking the flight attendant to introduce them, T-Pain expected a friendly moment, but instead he got blindsided. Usher looked him dead in the eye and said something that shattered him, words that would haunt him for years. That moment didn't just bruise his ego, it shook his entire sense of self. It planted seeds of doubt that kept growing, showing how even one comment from a fellow star can unravel years of confidence. It became a painful reminder that in the industry, no matter how much you innovate, there will always be people ready to discredit your legacy. Even after all the progress T-Pain made following Jay-Z's death of Auto-Tune, the industry still found ways to dismiss and overlook him. After that public blow, T-Pain took the break he'd been talking about, but when he finally came back, things just weren't the same. His earlier albums had easily cracked the top 10, and his singles or features dominated the charts. But when Revolver dropped in 2011, it only peaked at number 28, a sharp fall from his glory days. Since 2010, he hadn't landed a top 10 hit, and the spotlight that once burned bright was starting to dim. As he tried to hold on to the fame he'd worked so hard for, even his signature look, the oversized shades, the top hats, the flashy style, started turning into something people mocked. What used to make him stand out now felt like a parody of himself, and the world that once crowned him a genius began treating him like a punchline. That kind of public shift hits hard, especially for someone who had helped define an entire sound. Then came the financial fallout. When the big checks started slowing down, his spending didn't, and before long, the money that once felt endless started to disappear. The fall from superstardom to financial struggle exposed just how brutal and unforgiving the music business can be. One minute you're untouchable, the next you're watching it all slip through your fingers. Thankfully, T-Pain's story never spiraled into total destruction the way it did for some artists, but it definitely humbled him. When projects like Oblivion started debuting as low as number 155 on the charts, it was a wake-up call. Even potential collaborations were getting scrapped, all because his name, once a golden ticket, was now being taken for granted. It was a hard reminder that in the music world, fame fades fast, and respect can vanish even faster. Just take a look at how Travis Scott and his crew treated T-Pain long after he had earned their respect. That kind of disrespect showed how easily the industry forgets the ones who paved the way. Over time, it became painfully clear that the public's excitement for his signature auto-tune sound had faded. The moment of truth came when T-Pain's massive One-Up tour had to be canceled because of poor ticket sales. For most artists, that kind of news would be swept under the rug or blamed on something else, but not T-Pain. He faced it head-on with the brutal honesty he's always been known for. In October 2019, he took to Instagram and laid it all out for his fans. No excuses, no PR spin, just the truth. While other artists might have faked an illness or claimed personal reasons, T-Pain stood tall and owned it. That level of realness hit people hard, because in a world full of ego and smokescreens, his transparency felt refreshing. Most rappers would have seen that as a major embarrassment, a hit to their image, but fans saw something else entirely. They saw a man willing to drop the facade and be real. One fan summed it up perfectly online. He's honest, humble, and he puts the blame on himself. That takes guts. I respect that, and I'm Team T-Pain all the way. Those words captured what made Pain stand out. Even in his lowest moments, he never hid behind lies or fake confidence. By being raw, humble, and unfiltered, T-Pain unexpectedly earned back something even more valuable than chart success: the audience's respect. People started rooting for him again, not just as a hitmaker, but as a genuine person willing to show the truth about how messy and unforgiving the music world can really be. That honesty didn't just win T-Pain his fans back, it made the world stop and reevaluate his true place in the industry. Once he climbed back into the public's good graces, T-Pain discovered something powerful. There was real value in speaking his mind. And in today's digital age, where the internet gives artists a direct line to fans, he found his perfect lane through streaming, a space where he could finally say everything he'd been holding in for years. On his streams, T-Pain found freedom. He could laugh, rant, educate, and drop the kind of truth bombs only someone who's lived through the highs and lows of fame could deliver. He became the wise, unfiltered voice of experience in a world that often rewards fakeness. After all those years of people like Jay-Z discrediting his contributions to music, T-Pain now had a new platform, and this time, the mic was his. And he didn't hold back. He started calling out how modern rap and R&B were becoming stale, how too many songs were starting to sound like carbon copies of each other. Funny enough, even people who had never been fans found themselves agreeing with him. One person online even admitted, "I may not be a fan of T-Pain, but he's right. Most of these rappers and mainstream artists sound the same." That kind of honesty hit home with audiences everywhere. The attention his clips started pulling proved something. T-Pain wasn't just a hitmaker anymore. He was a truth teller. Realizing that people were actually listening, he leaned into it, stepping into his new role as a voice of authority, a man unafraid to expose the realities and secrets of the music game that so many others were too scared to talk about. T-Pain's comeback hasn't been about saying what people want to hear. It's been about saying what they need to hear. He's never been afraid to ruffle feathers, even when it means challenging some of the biggest myths in the game. One major example is his stance on so-called slave contracts. While many artists love to repeat that phrase, T-Pain broke it down in a way that few ever dared to. He explained that yes, labels absolutely take advantage of young, eager artists, but at the end of the day, those same artists choose to trade long-term ownership for quick money. Harsh truth, but he's not here to sugarcoat it. For T-Pain, dropping these kinds of truth bombs is second nature. Where other artists hide behind mystery and industry talk, he's happy to expose how things really work, including calling out fake surprise albums and publicity stunts. He's not afraid to name the games that labels play. In fact, T-Pain's honesty has gotten so real that fans have started worrying for him, treating him like an actual whistleblower. Some even post messages saying things like, "I've said this before and I'll say it again. Protect and pray for T-Pain at all costs." Because when you start speaking uncomfortable truths about powerful people in the music industry, not everyone's going to be happy about it. Through his streaming platform and outspoken views, T-Pain revealed something wild. Streaming has made him more money than traditional music ever did. That shocked fans who always assumed artists made their millions from record sales. And while most of his critiques of the culture are broad, every now and then he gets real specific. He's not shy about telling other artists what they should or shouldn't do, even calling out big names who've wronged him. Recently, he even advised Drake to step away from the industry for a while, and that bold statement sparked serious backlash from Drake's inner circle. But that's T-Pain for you, fearless, unfiltered, and unwilling to play by anyone's rules but his own. Even with all the heat he's caught for speaking his mind, T-Pain refuses to stay quiet, and that's exactly what makes him such a force today. He's built this second chapter of his career not on chart-topping hits or flashy features, but on truth-telling. Instead of hiding behind fame, he's using it as a megaphone to call out the fake, the lazy, and the greedy sides of the music industry that most people would never dare to touch. These days, T-Pain has found a rhythm that feels real. Streaming, gaming, producing, and connecting directly with his audience without any industry filters. Fans don't just see him as a performer anymore. They see him as a genuine person who's lived it all and come out wiser. His streams are filled with laughter, honesty, and those raw, off-the-cuff moments that remind people why they fell in love with him in the first place. And what's wild is that by being himself, he's managed to earn back a level of respect that no chart position could ever buy. Younger artists, the same ones who once copied his sound, now turn to him for guidance. They want to know how to navigate fame without losing themselves, how to make money without getting played, and how to keep creating without burning out. T-Pain's story has come full circle, from being mocked for ruining music to becoming one of the most respected voices in the game. He's shown that authenticity always wins in the end. Every twist in his journey, the hits, the hate, the fall, and the comeback shaped him into the legend he is today. What makes T-Pain stand out isn't just his sound, it's his spirit. The same energy that made people dance years ago is now inspiring a new generation to own their truth, chase independence, and never let the industry define their worth. He took the punches, the ridicule, and the betrayal, and turned it all into fuel to rebuild something greater than fame: freedom. Now he's the embodiment of evolution, the guy who mastered reinvention and turned pain into power. Through streaming, content creation, and his brutally honest takes, T-Pain has carved out a space that's 100% his. No label politics, no fake image, just raw, unfiltered reality mixed with pure creativity. The world may have doubted him once, but today, T-Pain isn't just back, he's thriving louder than ever. His story reminds every dreamer out there that failure isn't final, and comebacks hit hardest when you stay true to yourself. So, if T-Pain's journey taught you something about resilience, about owning your voice, or just about staying real no matter what, don't keep it to yourself. Drop a comment below and let's talk about your favorite T-Pain era or moment. And hey, don't forget to like, subscribe, share, and hit that bell so you never miss another deep dive into the wildest stories behind the biggest names in music. Because one thing's for sure, legends like T-Pain don't fade away, they just reload for the next hit.